Very good morning to you. How are you doing? Welcome to Friday morning. It's Man Up. Wanaume, vuteni stool karibu na TV na karibu na radio. We need to talk about some things. You know, usually when you have conversations about men, especially in church, we talk about the role of the man. And we are given 3 P's. We are told the man is the priest of the home. We are told the man is the provider. And then we are told the man is the protector. Hapo kwa protection. Hapo ndio nataka tuongee. The role of the man as the protector. What does that mean? Okay. Who are we protecting? What are we protecting them from? And how are we doing this kind of protection? What does that really entail? Because we keep hearing about that a lot. And the question I want to throw out to you this morning as we kick off this discussion is exactly that. When you hear the man is supposed to be the protector, what comes to your mind? What are some key thoughts that come to your mind when you hear that statement? I have 2 amazing gentlemen who will be joining me in studio via Zoom in the next short while as we dig into this discussion to understand the role of the man as the protector and how that applies to you, Mr. Mwanaume, because we need to arise in this season to be the protectors that we are called to be. But how do you protect if you don't know what that entails and how you're supposed to do it? So, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. The role of the man as a protector, what does that mean to you? I've got a hilarious comment here from Kelvin Juma. He's saying he's waiting for today's discussion. He's very expectant. He says for him protection ni kushika rungu. Where Kelvin umeshika rungu, eh? Good for you, my friend. This morning we have 2 amazing gentlemen who are going to be helping us to gain a deeper understanding of this discussion. We have Pastor Ben Wamai today, pastor, husband, and father. Mchungaji, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I thank God because of a great morning that God has given us. I also want to appreciate the opportunity today to be speaking about fatherhood.
Yes, great.
It's one topic that is so close to my heart, so I appreciate.
Asante, good to have you. We also have Edwin Okuyu. Edwin is the managing director of Content Plus. Edwin, how are you doing?
Yes, I'm good. Well, thank you for this opportunity.
Karibu sana. It's good to have you. Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe I can begin with you, Pastor Ben. When we talk about the man as a protector, what exactly are we talking about? What kind of protection are we talking about here?
Yes, thank you, James. It's a pleasure again for the opportunity to be talking about this topic, but maybe I can start by an introduction. I'm Pastor Ben Wamai from Utawala Kingdom Worship Chapel in Shooters along the Eastern Bypass. And I appreciate to talk about fatherhood because I am a father. And so I'm a legitimate father. And number 1, I'm a father to my 3 beautiful children. My firstborn is allowed 9 turning 10 this year. I have a secondborn, and I have also a thirdborn. So I'm a biological father. I'm also a spiritual father to the spiritual people that we have in church, sons and daughters.
Yeah.
And so when we are talking about protection, I believe in this aspect, we are talking about protection from the view of biological fathers. And one thing that is important to know is that as you have started introducing this topic, talking about the 3 P's, the priesthood, provision, and now the protection, is that they intermarry in different ways. They interact because if you read the book of Ephesians 6:4, where I'd like us to begin from, the Bible says, when fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in discipline and instruction of the Lord. So when you are talking about protection, I believe the key thing is to look at the dynamism of fatherhood. And the dynamism of fatherhood, we should understand that it entails spiritual protection, it entails information protection, it also entails financial protection. So it's all around, because the upbringing of a child, we desire to bring a child as fathers, we desire to bring our families as holy children that are complete. I hope you understand me, James, that are complete. They are complete spiritually. They are complete on things of information. They are complete in things to do that. They are not in fear of how will be our tomorrow as children, because the parents are maybe financially they are not there, but they should always have an assurance that no matter what level you are financially, they have that security that our parents are providers and they are protected on that area, that they are not in fear. It's very good to note that.
Okay.
So maybe just as I try to broaden up on when it talks about information. At the moment, the generation that we are living in a generation that has so much exposure. Kweli James?
Yeah.
Si kama wakati wetu tukilewa. And so you realize that our 5-year-olds or 3-year-olds have so much exposure to information from the phones that we have in our homes, where they want to play games and cartoons, but they get exposure. You need to protect them. What information are they getting? As a father, as a protector. It's not just a matter of protection. No. Yeah, it is wider than that.
Okay.
It's wider than that.
Okay.
So we need to take care as a father. What information are your children receiving? Because the Bible has told us in Ephesians, but instructing them in the Lord, that you are who you are, James, because of the instructions you have been taking all through.
Okay.
So what instructions are your children getting?
Edwin, I want to rope you into this conversation. What's your understanding of the man as a protector?
Yes. For me, my understanding is that as a man, as a protector, you need to protect your family in following 3 ways: emotionally, financially, and also spiritually. By emotional support, I can give you an example. For me, when I was raised in the slum, and there was this guy in this Kwamta, the guy used to really bully us. And for us, when this guy was around, it is that fear that you always feel that he'll do this, he'll always beat us. But when you know your father is around, you're sure that even if this guy touches you, or if this guy does something for you, know that your father is always going to protect you from this guy. So emotionally, you're comfortable. But when your father is not around, or you don't have the father figure around you who's going to protect you, feel like fear comes in. And you always know the fear comes from the enemy. So fear comes in because you know there's nobody there to protect you. So emotionally, you're always fearing that if these guys come around, who's going to protect me? And also spiritually, I feel like we also, fathers are the anchor, because we learn it even from the book of Genesis, when God created man. Before he gave him a wife, he gave him the land, which is, he gave him the Eden to take care of it. He was to cultivate it. So before a woman came into the picture, man was to take care of all these things. So spiritually, I feel like also a man was given that responsibility to teach his kids or his family his ways to the Lord, because man is the source. Because we read it in the Bible, it is only man that God created from the soil. He never went back to create another man from the soil. A woman came from us. So man is the source, and we have to depend from our source. Our source is God. So we have to depend from him as we pour it down to our family. And financially, we are the ones who needs to provide. We need to provide for our family. They need to know, they're sure that today they are going to eat. For me, I know I have a son. He always knows that when I come back, that he's going to get a gift from me. When I come back, he knows that he's going to eat. He doesn't care how he's going to come, but he knows that he has to get the food. He'll have a shelter. He'll have his clothes. So he's sure that his father is going to provide for him financially.
Okay, but Pastor, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, so for me, those two key areas.
Yeah, I was going to say, Pastor, I'm just wondering, because when we talk about the aspect of protection, for you to be a good protector, you have to be present. And I find that a lot of us men in this generation, we are not present. So how do I protect if I'm hardly there?
That's a great question, James. And the challenge is that right nowadays we are living in a time that, as we are saying about financial protection, it means that you also need to go and work for you to be able to secure your children and have that security. They have the security that we are not going to be hungry, we are not going to be chased out of school. But again, we must know how to balance between work or business, for that matter, and family responsibility. I believe it's always good to find time to interact and have family gathering and family meetings with your children, that they may understand and know what is your position on these things. Because when you're talking about information, that instruction is conversational. You cannot instruct somebody in absentia, and that's the biggest challenge. Let me say this: before I was born again, I was raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
And means that tells you that my father was absent. So there are things that I missed that I always try right now to cultivate my children and to make sure that they get what they missed then, what I missed then, that they are not going to miss. So I have to be present for them, that no matter I'm in business, right now I'm business, I'm in ministry, but I have also to know that I have to be there for my sons, because especially the boy child needs the presence of a daddy, needs that masculinity to see the daddy there, to watch the car with the daddy, to go and play football with the daddy. You see, that helps. And because I was raised by a single mother, I remember there's a time that I always fell out because I was not born again, did not know Christ. So the person who was so close to me was like a cousin, another cousin. The other cousin did not know God, but to me it was like a father figure. But he also had his own ways of doing things. So what happened is that he started exposing me to things that were not right. You see, when I was in class 5, class 6, because he was my father figure, he was my present father figure, because my mom did not have a husband. So I started learning things, not the right things, but the wrong things, because that's the only person I would see like a man in my life he was more elderly than me, and there's things he told me, let alone God would come and help me to get out of them.
Yes.
But I got into them because I was introduced to them to me by the person I would see as a foster father or a step or a father figure to me. So that is why we have to understand, like as fathers, that if you don't teach, instruct your children, they are still being instructed and taught from other dimensions, either by radio, either by TV, or either by teachers in schools, and even at times is by, if you have a teenage child, whether it's a boy or a child girl, they'll be taught by their peers in school. You are the one who was supposed to tell them, no, don't entangle yourself into this and this moral behavior, because it's going to cause you this and this. They should know it and hear it from you, and hear it the right way from you, before they get that information from another source. That's very important. So that you have to be present. That even if it's 1 hour on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, get time, interact with them, take them outing, and speak to them.
Okay, yes. Okay. Shortly we'll talk about the whole aspect of being selfless, because Edwin, I believe for somebody to be a good protector, you have to be selfless. You're not thinking about you first, you're thinking about those you are protecting. It means you have to be at a place where you're willing even to give your life for the sake of the people that you're protecting. But sometimes I wonder, is that the kind of attitude that we have as men today? I find that we are so focused on ourselves, we end up leaving our families, our spouses exposed. We'll talk about that shortly. It's about 17 minutes after 8. It is Man Up on Jam 316. We are talking about the man as the protector. If you have a question, ladies, maybe you have questions for us today in regards to this topic, feel free to send in your SMSs with your questions on 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. So back to you, Edwin. I was talking about the whole aspect of being selfless. I believe as a protector you need to be selfless, because you're putting the lives of those you're protecting before your very own. But is that how men behave today?
No. Nowadays, things have really changed, and that's why we're facing whatever the society is facing right now is the issue of fatherhood. Because we are having men who are not trained, they don't know how to be a father. We are having men who are out there, they feel they have that entitled mentality. For example, there's a statistic that says 98% of men who are probably in prison, they have never been visited by their fathers.
Wow.
Only 2% are being visited by 2% are being visited by their fathers. So you get this aspect. We normally have this session. We normally go to prisons. When you go to prison, it's even when you're on that line, you probably are waiting to see someone. The number of men you'll see on that line is probably 2 or 4 or 3, but the number women are always there, but the men are missing. Why? Because when you go to speak to someone, they'll tell you that my father cannot forgive me for what I did. Because men, we have left our role to the, so that the role that we were given by God to be the protector, to be that father who's going to be there for the kid. That's why I'm not against this feminism thing, but changing the roles and living the fatherhood as, because that's the main thing that we are missing in the society.
Yes.
And if we really can go back to the basics and really understand what fatherhood is, we are going to change even our country, Kenya. Because without a man, the family is failing. And like we see in the book of Malachi 4:6, it says that God says that He's going to return back the hearts of the fathers back to the children.
Yeah.
Why should He, when you are finishing this Old Testament, we are getting that that goes into return? Because He knows that the fatherhood is the key to making our society to be great. All these problems, the things to do with crime, prostitution, is the aspect. I've lived in the slum, and if you can see the number of probably boys or children who goes into prostitution, it's because if you see keenly, most of those families they were raised by a single mom, and some of them have really done a great job. They've really taken that aspect of fatherhood. They've been the man of the family. But for others, it's really because a man really needs someone, or a woman needs someone who's they're going to probably depict their behaviors from. If they don't get it, like Pastor, I'm going to echo what he said. You're going to get someone out there who are going to pick your behaviors from. Because as much as you have your mother in the house, you also need a father who's going to lead you, who's going to affirm some things to you, who's going to tell you you're great, he loves you. When you get that, when you get those quantities from a man, you're secure. And that's why even there's a statistic which shows also that when people, a family that has a stable mom and a present dad, not just a man, but a man who is present for his kids or for his family, is most likely to be successful. And the percentage is very high, because when you're secure at home, you're sure that our society is going to be a great place.
Wow, lovely.
Being present.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Edwin. Pastor, back to you. I find it interesting that men are supposed to be protectors, but it seems like the very people we are supposed to be protecting have become the very people who we consider our enemies. And so we are constantly fighting the women we are supposed to protect. We are constantly fighting with our children that we are supposed to protect. How did we get into that space, and how do we change it?
It all falls back to upbringing, because the strength of a building is based on the foundation.
Very true.
And if we have wrong foundations, then automatically we are going to be raised as weak men. For example, if you take a person who has been raised by an irresponsible father, a drunkard, for example, or an immoral father, unless by the grace of God that boy changes, when that boy becomes a father, you're going to take the lessons of your father, because that's what you saw him do, that's what you do. So that is why it's important as a father to train also your boy how to treat women. And not only your boy, even your children. How do you treat, when you are with them in the supermarket, how do you treat that cashier in their presence? Because when you talk about instructions, it's not all about telling them. In fact, Children learn so much from seeing than listening. How you act, what you do. So the attack we may see right now as fathers, you see some extremes, is because of failed instructions, failed morality.
Yeah.
Failed morality. So whereby the fathers we have right now, we have so many absent fathers, and the present fathers are very wicked. So all present fathers, most of them do not have the right pillars. Yeah, they don't have the right pillars of upbringing. So they also doing things out of lack of proper foundations. So that's why you'll see there's a lot of attack. Even a father who is supposed to protect the wife is not protecting the wife. There's a lot of wife beating and all that.
Yes.
And and a lot of father-daughter rape cases. Extreme situations, because the fathers have failed. They were not given instructions on how to become a father. So when they become fathers also, combined with their own pressures of life and stress, they do things that are unimaginable.
Wow. So how do we change this?
The only way to change this is to have such forums like the one you have this morning. Two is to be able to get to, initially I think I spoke about spiritual aspect of protection.
Yeah.
And it's important to note this, that man is a spirit. Man is a spirit first, then physical body. So even the children we are protecting, the family we are protecting, those are spirit beings.
Yes.
And being there, know that man is have a body, a soul, the spirit. But mostly it is the spirit that connects us from our origin. We have to go back to our origin, who is God. And until we're able to connect spiritually, we cannot be able to become great fathers. We are not here speaking about fatherhood because we are perfect fathers.
Yeah.
No, we are here speaking about fatherhood because we have connected to the great Father, our Father who art in heaven, who teaches us how to become better every day. Because also we learn something new every day through connecting with God. So it's all about also praying for family, the family unit. Let me tell you, James, right now, the family is under attack.
Right.
And when the family is under attack, the first target is the priest. And who is the priest? The father. The Bible says that hit the shepherd, scatter the sheep. So immediately the father is attacked, the family is no longer there, the family unit is no longer there. So we need to pray for the fathers and the families, and we also need to continue counseling and speaking to fathers and having forums to encourage the man that you are well able. What you are earning is enough to take care of your family. Don't be greedy to look for more. Don't be desperate trying to compete with other fathers. What you have is enough. Just accept that and accept yourself as that.
Okay.
So we need to have more forums speaking to fathers and father forums.
Okay. Shortly, we'll talk about then what does it take to be a good protector. And also I have a few questions coming in. We'll look at them shortly. If you have questions, my friend, time to send them in is now. It's 8:30. We have probably about another 20 minutes to go with this conversation. And so if you have a question, don't wait until 10 minutes to send it in now. Remember, we are talking about the man as the protector. Ladies, hamna maswali leo. 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Maybe I'll throw this question to you, Edwin. What do you think it takes then to be a good protector?
I learned this from the book of Luke chapter 2 verse 52, where it says that Jesus grew in stature, Jesus grew in wisdom, favor with man, and favor with God. We normally call it the four key areas for human development. Let me try and break it down. For a man to be a good protector, let me start with wisdom. A man needs to develop himself. He needs to be a man who's the area, probably if he's an engineer, make sure that you're always developing yourself, because your kids are, you're the first role model in the house.
Yeah.
So you need to develop yourself in areas that if it's reading, you make sure that you're good, you're good in your books. Probably if it's in sport, just make sure that you're developing yourself. In terms of now stature, the physical, having that physical, being good, physically fit, because you don't want to be yes, you're provided, you're doing all these things, can fit. Tomorrow you're feeling down because you are not fit. The third thing is now favor with God. Favor with God means that you need to, your spiritual aspect of it. You need to be the first foundation for your family in terms of your relationship with God, teaching your kids how to connect with God, teaching them how to pray, teaching them how to read the Word of God. You're the first person in the house that you should be their foundation when you're doing all these things in terms of the spiritual aspect. Then the last part of it, the favor with man. It means that you need to have a network. At times, when you're doing business, you need a network of men. That's why if Jesus was God, and we are reading in the Bible that Jesus grew in favor with man, that means that you need men in your circle, people who are going, not just normal people, people who are going to inspire you, people who are building you, people who that you guys, when you sit down, you are building each other. So I think in those 4 key areas are the areas that if us as men, if we focus on them, we'll be on the right track.
Okay. Pastor, there's a very interesting question here for you. This one is coming in from my friend Martha Ann. Martha Ann is asking, what do you do with a father who keeps rescuing his entitled adult children from their misendeavors, paying their rent, bailing them out of police, etc., till now they don't shughulikia for themselves? They just lay about waiting for their dad to come for their rescue. Is this protection or is this disempowering your children?
Okay. As a father, at times, the reason as to why such a father will do that is because of maybe genuine love. But again, it is good to understand that as a father, what you need to teach your children is not how to give them fish, but also how to go fishing themselves. And if it is possible, you teach them how to own their own boat. Because by that, you have helped that child forever to be self-independent.
Wow.
Because raising a child, again, is not spoon-feeding that child forever. It's helping that child have a mentality that one time I will be able to do what daddy does and be able to raise my own family. And you raise that child to become a responsible child.
Yeah.
Again, now if the children are mature, they are of age, and they're still coming back to you for school fees of their own children, and you are old, okay, they also need, that time, you also need their support, the support of the children.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need their support of the children, and if not their support, at least they should be able to support themselves. But you see now, this was, imagine you have a child, but every time he is in police cells, you go take him out of the police cell. It shows also you are also, as much as you are going there out of love, but just a failed father, because you did not teach that child how to avoid the cells. Because that is what is important. Help that upon the priest also not keep paying bills for the prison. Yeah, so what is important for that kind of a father to answer in that question is the father needs to sit down with the children and help them have an independent mind. I believe now, even my children at their age, I'm helping them understand, have that independence. You also have to know, you have to teach the children how to know how to fight their own battles. Very important, because life comes with a lot of misfortunes. You see, the Bible says, the book of Psalms 23, that though I walk through the valleys of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou shalt be with me. Now, there's a very important thing to see in that verse, that there is a presence of the valley of the shadow of death. So in life, there will be valleys of shadows of death. So it is good to help your children understand, when those shadows of valleys of shadows of death come, how shall I be able to get through? And that comes from even from young, when they are young. Let them get into competitions. Let them fail, and let them at times succeed. Let them know you can fail and rise up again. You can fail, start a business and it fails, and begin another one. Let them know those lessons from when they are down there. So as they grow, they don't have to have the mentality that you have to make it. You have to make it. Let them know that you can fail and rise. Because failure is part of success.
Okay.
You see, it is part of success. So it's good for that father to help the children be independent, that if they have to support them financially, let him help them come up with businesses so that they may be independent by themselves.
Okay. I have a comment here from Stella. Stella, thank you for your comment. You say, good morning. It's true, children need their father. I am a single mother and I have one son. Through this program, it made me change my mind and forgive the man who hated me deeply. So I allowed my son to meet his father last year, December. My son always says, my dad did this for me, and he even brags to his friends about his father. I just want to say thank you for bringing such topics. May the Lord bless you, Pastor James. Stella, thank you for that feedback. There's one issue that several people have brought up. Maybe we can attend to it. Now let's talk about the husband protecting the wife. I think this one is an issue a lot of women may identify with. This message here says one area where men, especially in rural areas, have failed is in not protecting their wives from their extended family. Such men will take the wife to live in the same house as their mother, where she becomes the family domestic servant. Most of these men work in big towns. Then when they come home, they believe everything their mother, sisters, etc. tell them about the wife and children, causing conflict. It's very unfortunate. Basically, the husband protecting your wife against your family and the in-laws. How do you do that? Pastor, you want to take this one?
That's okay. Very important also. Yeah. First of all, understand that marriage is of two people. Yeah, of two people, and then God comes in to help the intertwining of the marriage.
Yeah.
You see, so it becomes God becomes the glue that glues the marriage together. So that one tells the husband automatically that immediately you.
Pastor, we are losing you. Okay, Pastor seems to be having a problem with the connection. Yes. Edwin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, can you say something about that question? Protecting your wife from in-laws, yes.
Yes, let me I probably get this from probably experience and also from what I've seen. I've learned this lesson that where a woman is always a reflection to the husband, is your reflection outside there. So how you let her be treated probably badly with your, let's say your in-laws, or how you let her be treated badly with the society, it really because she is your reflection. How you treat her, how you want her to look like, it normally means a lot to her.
Yeah.
Because if you let her to be subject to your in-laws where they are always frustrating her, believe me, women, we normally call them incubators. Whatever you give them is what they'll give you back to you, and in good measure. So if you give them frustrations, believe me, that's what you're going to get from her. Probably if you're not treating her good with your in-laws, she's going to bring it back to you. Because it's like normally garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put in, whatever you get.
Yes.
So we need to protect our wives, because if we don't protect them from our in-laws, we are really also destroying ourselves. We're not only destroying them, but we are destroying ourselves. Because we need to protect, because that's our mandate, that's our first mandate. Like we said, that we are the foundation of the family.
Yeah.
If by any chance we let anything happens to our family, we are always making it happen to ourselves. So for me, that's my key takeout in just that a woman is a reflection of you outside there.
Yeah.
So whatever you let happens to her, with negative or positive, it will always come back to you.
Okay, as we wrap up, because it seems like Pastor had a problem with the disconnection, so he got disconnected. I have a comment here from Phoebe in Nyeri. Phoebe says the challenge is on Christian men to rise up to the challenge so that those non-Christian men can have somebody to look up to like that father we saw on Tuesday. We had a very good testimony on Tuesday. And she continues to say, and I think as Christians, we need to get away from that upbringing excuse, because we are now a new creation. Tumesoma na tunajua mengi. Christian parents should model what we know to teach others who may not know as much as we do. What would you say to that in conclusion?
Yeah, because let me tell you, we are the witnesses of Christ, bro. We are Christian men. We are the witnesses of Christ here on earth. So we need to be the first people probably to show. Because if we don't show the world, we've been told we are the salt of the world. So if we are that salt, we need to. Salt cannot have its meaning on itself. It needs to be mixed with something. Let's say if you're having a food, the meaning of the salt comes in when you put it into the food. That's when you feel the meaning. You can't eat salt probably with the ugali or with something. You have to put it in something. Yes. So as for us as Christian men, we need to be the real role models into the society, because we need to show the society that we are the men and they need to pick from us. So for me, I think that's really key. From that community, that's really key for us. We need to be the salt of the world as men and role models to the society.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Pastor, are you back?
I am back. Sorry for that interruption of network problem.
Yes, inaitwa mtandao na technology. I have a minute. What's your parting shot in 1 minute?
1 minute parting shot is my challenge is to the fathers. Let's become responsible men, and more so let's connect with the greater Father who is our God in heaven, our Father eternal, because He's the only one can help us become better fathers. Something else maybe I'd like to add, James. Maybe we should have a dialogue on this in the future. It's an issue of technology and children, and how it's affecting. That's something we have done in different forums and conferences, speaking to something called cyber psychology.
Yes.
Right now, we know that our children at home for holidays, and they are going to be there for around almost 2 months. It's good and important for the parents to understand, especially fathers, as saying fathers are the protector. It's important for them to know that protect your children as you give them the phones, know where they are going, what states they are visiting.
Okay.
Very important. And also, where those that are in social media know they are afraid. Protect them from the cyber, they call cyber poachers. Cyber people that are online just to try to take advantage of your children.
Okay.
God bless you.
Great. Pastor Ben, asante sana. Edwin, thank you for finding the time to be a part of Man Up this Friday morning. We truly appreciate. I'm out of time for our conversation for today. I hope you've been able to gain something that will help you become a better man, a better father, a better husband. Now, we want to get into food for thought with Professor Ndete. We began a very interesting conversation several weeks ago talking about OCD. It's obsessive compulsive disorder, trying to understand how it manifests and how you can help a loved one who has this disorder. So let's get into food for thought with Professor Ndete.
Food for Thought with Professor David Ndete.
A very good morning. Thank you for tuning in. It's another Friday morning. It's Food for Thought with Professor Ndete. Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. That's what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, but we haven't quite finished. We have still more that we need to talk about. So I want you to catch up with this conversation as we continue to learn more, because information is power.
Yes. This is a condition that affects both children and adults, and also who are more susceptible to it, men or women?
I think from the statistics that I have seen here, we do know that even infants can have emotional problems.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
No. Infants?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
Even if people in the stomach,
wow,
they can have problems.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they can have problems, and this is why when people start talking about termination of pregnancy, they must know that they are talking about human beings who have emotions.
Wow.
Some of the things, as far as children are concerned, I must say we don't have our own data, but the fact that we do not have the data, the fact that we have not found it, we do not know, it may be a reflection of the fact that we have not looked for it.
Okay.
Yeah. A good example is there is a condition we call ADHD. When there is something to do with hyperactivity,
yes,
in children. When I was a student, we used to be told that this is a condition that only occurs in young people,
yes,
and as you grow out, you grow older, you
grow out of it.
You grow out of it.
Yeah.
And we were told you can never make a diagnosis on ADHD on an adult. Now we know we have adult ADHD.
Yes.
We are not saying adult ADHD is a new condition. It has always been there, but we did not know how to recognize it in adults.
Yeah, okay.
But now we know how to recognize it in adults, and then we find it. So the same thing applies. So most of our studies have been on adults because this is where we have been asking most of these questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, for somebody who has obsessive compulsive disorder, are they prone to other conditions?
Yes. Listen. You cannot have. We started with a young father.
Yes.
Yeah. How do this father, the thought of killing his son, striking that child on the head and killing, and he had to run away? Is it not natural for this person to develop anxiety?
Yes.
To be fearful? Is it not just natural for this person, this father, to get depressed? So it's so normal.
Yes.
Because they have insight. They have insight. They know what they are going through is abnormal. Of course, in the extreme cases, they may not even know, they may lose what is inside. In other words, they don't know that what they are doing is abnormal. But we are talking about the majority of the cases. He knows it's abnormal. And it's going to stress him. You would expect him to be depressed.
Very true.
Before we started seeing these things, the light in which I have described to you, we used to read in books that people with obsessive compulsive disorder, in 66%, I can remember that figure, in 66% they have depression.
Wow, that's a huge number.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
Those figures, I think some of the books that I have here in my office, some of them go back to long before I was born. And they are talking about those figures. And we did not know exactly why this comorbidity is when we have two conditions occurring at the same time.
Yeah.
We are talking about obsessive disorder, obsessive OCD.
Yes.
We are saying 60%, 66%, 2/3 of them have this condition. We will just see those conditions. We didn't understand why. Because it was not a good practice that time to start talking about two psychiatric conditions occurring in one person at the same time. That would be a little bit too much.
Yes.
But we know several can occur in the same person at the same time. And no wonder. They used to teach us, this used to be classified as one of the anxiety disorders. Anxiety is that it's a lot of fear, you're anxious, one of them, there are very many of them, used to be classified, it has now been reclassified, not as an anxiety disorder. This OCD, which is classified as an anxiety disorder, seems to be different in the sense that it seems to respond well to antidepressants rather than to anxiety, confirming this association between depression and obsessive compulsive disorder. Whether this depression is what you may call reactive, in the sense that this person is already going through a lot of stress, and because he's going through a lot of, it becomes depression. It can become depressed, because we know there's a relation between stress and depression.
Yes.
Or whether we are dealing with two conditions that seem to occur together and are not necessarily related, We do not know for sure, but it could also be that. We also know that, and this is, we've been able to show it in our data here, that people with obsessive compulsive disorder, about a third of them are prone to schizophrenic illness.
Ooh. I remember we talked about schizophrenia sometime.
Yes, are prone to schizophrenic illness. In other words, is it possible that these two conditions share the same pathways in the brain that account for these different conditions? Suffice to say that there are many psychiatric conditions can occur together in the same person, just like somebody with diabetes can have high blood pressure, can have other conditions, can have kidney problems, can people with cancer can have, of course there is cancer, they can also have very many conditions. So when you look at this, you begin to realize that physical conditions and the psychiatric condition or mental conditions are kind of mirror reflection in terms of condition that can occur together.
Okay, so I'm just imagining when somebody is in that state, you can't really focus on anything else, can you?
You can focus on anything else. Your mind is so much preoccupied. That becomes a big problem.
Is it treatable?
Yes, it is treatable.
Wow.
It is treatable, and it's treatable in two main ways.
Okay.
As I said, 66% or 2,000 of them have comorbid depression. So you treat that depression and the conditions seem to get a little bit better. So it's treatable in that context. It's also treatable in the sense that you can sit with people and try to make them understand what is going on, because they do not quite understand what is going on. Am I bewitched? Where we started. Am I possessed by some evil spirits?
Yes.
Do I need to go see a pastor? Do I go and see you? You explain to them, they begin to understand how it is affecting them and how it is affecting other people. Make them understand it is a medical condition. That kind of treatment is what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. You start by changing the way people think, the way people perceive a situation, and as they change the way they think, it is also going to affect the way they act. We call it a cognitive behavioral therapy. In some cases, Isaac Marx used to prescribe a rubber band. A rubber band which you put around your wrist, so that if you had this thought in your mind, you just put it, snapped it, and the pain was such that it would distract you.
It distracts your mind,
to focus not so much what you are thinking about the pain. And that used to be classic treatment.
It looks so crude. Yes.
Or you pierce yourself with a pin. Because it was the only knowledge that was available at that particular time. You'll be surprised how the things that we used to do, or not me, but the profession used to do, not only in mental health, but in other physical conditions, because we did not know exactly.
Knowledge was limited.
Knowledge was limited. But with the knowledge now we understand much, much better what is going on in our minds.
Well, we've run out of time. The other day somebody was telling me this segment is so short because we are getting a wealth of information, and I'm glad that you're tuning in to get information about mental health issues, because information is power. And the more we know, the less the stigma will be that is associated with mental health issues. So ensure you tell a friend to tune in every Friday and to catch up with these conversations, because they are very beneficial. Have yourselves a great weekend. We'll look forward to catching up with you on this conversation next week right here.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.